If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
I wonder if I've used the different enunciations of different parts of the word of the phrase different or weekly Vanguard podcast. Like, have I used them all?
I'm not
by
sure.
now. I probably have. I will at some point, right?
Yeah, I don't think you've done cast yet.
Okay, I need to put the emphasis on cast. All right, I'll keep that in mind for next week. Gentlemen, we are in for a fun episode today as we take a look at this this blitz order that
it's not a blitz order,
or sorry, normal order that lasts for 2 turns. That's what I'm thinking of. But it is a Regalis piece, which means you can only run one of these, and it is the choice between this and the doll and the cup and the sphere. That's the blitz order that I'm thinking of.
Okay, what's it do?
It's up on the screen if somebody wants to read it while I eat this pizza and pretend not to do a spit take.
Bracing Angel Ladder. Draw 1, put this card to soul, and until under your opponent's next turn, you get, during your turn, all of your Vanguards get power plus 5,000, and all of your rearguards cannot be chosen by opponent's card abilities and cannot be put anywhere besides the rearguard circle by your opponent's card abilities. So, this card is not defensive. It is, in fact, probably going to be quite the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, it's defensive in the sense that it might turn off some decks from functioning entirely.
I mean, it functioned. That's true. Where they just can no longer deal with the threat at hand and just kill you.
Yeah. Or in the case of Nubatama, they just can't dominate anything and all of their cards turn off in standard.
There's an old Day 9 clip where he's talking about StarCraft 2. And he's like, if your opponent's doing a weird strategy, or really any strategy, just go fucking kill them. And this card will let you do that. No longer matters what your opponent's doing. Just go kill them. I'm
imagining like an Indiana Jones where it's the guy twirling around the sword and then he just pulls out the gun and shoots him like that.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Just kill them. So this card is ridiculous in all the wrong ways, I think.
Agreed. The first thing I thought when I looked at this card was this just stops some decks from functioning. I'm not did Konami design this?
Okay. When I first read this, I don't know if it was it being 7 a.m, or that I hadn't had coffee yet, or that maybe it was a mistranslation or something. But originally, I thought that this gave the Vanguard plus 5k on both turns, which made that way more ridiculous. Now looking at that, aside from Root Beer's gripe of, it turns off some decks. Okay, I guess, this is a one-of that has to compete with other one-ofs.
True. But this one-of says also your rear guards can't be denial Griffin, right?
Yes.
I mean, basically can't be interacted with except in very limited capacity.
That's true.
Yeah. Cannot be put anywhere besides the rear guard of you. Okay, so they can't be bounced. They can't be put back in deck. They can't be
put to soul. Nothing.
Yeah. They can't even be forced to intercept, apparently.
Correct. Because they would be
they can be forced to intercept. Because I think it got changed because apparently the ruling is that forcing someone to intercept is you doing something. It's kind of evenly matched or
it's on the player somehow. Weird.
Yeah, because intercepting is an action that you do, so it's forcing you to perform an intercept.
Okay, sure. So they can only be forced to intercept by some card somewhere.
Yeah.
Or if it's
But if you're attacking when these cards are protected, they're not going to be forced to intercept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have something that battles multiple units, can that...
Yeah, that should work.
Yeah. Unless it's
Unless
like
you're playing
choose-
standard.
Yeah, where it's like choose 3 things and then attack. Like that's
No,
right.
that
You can't do that.
still works because that's just changing how battle works.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because the Vermilion order is explicitly turned off by this.
I see.
So it'll like hit them, and then the order will attempt to bind them, which it can't do.
Right.
Because they can't be moved.
Yeah, they can't be bound.
Shit. This is way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
This card's lame.
No. Yeah, I don't like this card. Like, I know nobody's weeping for Nubatama because it's a top deck. It's a top deck in Japan, and I imagine everyone's going to be annoyed with it, but I don't think the solution is to print a card that says Nubatama can't play the game.
Yeah, and one that, at least in standard, can't really be searched easily very well. And also it is it's a 1 in a million or 1 in 49 shot to draw this thing without searchability.
Yeah,
and it's
like honestly,
do you
I
run
feel like
this over the cup? Like most people just run the cup for the extra persona ride.
As long as Nubatama is the top deck, yes. Like if I have a Saki one of that says that I can just stop them from playing the game for a turn, I would absolutely run it to counter the best deck.
Sazanda just now can no longer be dealt with.
Well, they already had a card that gave everything resist.
Yeah, now they really can't do it.
We'll talk about premium in a bit because I have a lot more things to say there. But for standard, it's like if you have something that is a silver bullet for the top deck, I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Also, like, if we're talking about Saki one-ups, does that mean the over trigger is suddenly okay?
No, that's the point.
Like, yeah. So, like, I really don't like this card. Like, for standard, I think it definitely just, like, randomly turning off some decks, including what is expected to be the top deck when the Stride deck comes out. And also, like, the ability to, like, remove your opponent's rear guards is decently powerful. Like, sometimes your opponent just has a really annoying guy and be like, it'd be really nice if I could just get rid of it without committing an extra attack.
At least in standard, the decks that this, like Gandiva, for example, like, it still scales.
Yeah.
But, like, in premium, this is going to be, like, game-ending, probably.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a decent amount of, like, bullshit OTK strategies that exist in premium that this card will just enable now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I drew my Saki one of. Good luck denying my 15 attack combo.
That's the thing. It's not even I drew my Saki one of. You can search this Saki one of with a variety of things. Mostly it's the grade 3 top 5 searcher. You can at least dig for it. But for some decks like Great Nature, where you can outright search this with Mike Saburo. Oh my god, I can do this with like the Zoa Rhino stuff. Holy crap. This might have made Zoa Rhino consistent again. Maybe. Sanctitude still exists. I don't know. I'm off in my own corner conniving. You guys go.
I mean, we probably should not be enabling these like Saki OTK strategies to be uninteractable, right?
I mean,
I cast my layer of protection. Fuck you.
I mean, we're just dealing with loop until until it gets hit.
Yeah.
However good that deck may or may not be, it's very fucking annoying.
Yes, it is. Also, like when I think about like decks that can randomly lose to Denial Griffin, I remember like Spike Brothers, but that was all the way back in like G era. If you played it badly, I don't know how Spike Brothers fares currently against denial strategies.
It takes some work, but you can play around some number of it. There is a point where you just can't though.
Yeah. I also distinctly remember during BCS, who was the guy we were with, or not BCS, Springfest, who was the third guy that we had for our teammate again, Atlas?
Scott?
Yeah.
Or Rice? Which one?
Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, I distinctly remember sitting next to him, watching him impede Grand Blue 3 times, and they still killed him that turn.
Yeah, that happens.
That's
Spikes could probably not do that to impede. However, well, it's Spikes, so impede doesn't. Anyways, but like through 3 denials, like Spikes would die.
Yeah,
you can't set up enough extra attacks.
But yeah, I feel like having this around, we're just gonna suddenly see like these random OTK decks just suddenly pop up every now and then because you found the Regalis piece, so your opponent just can't stop your attack this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's like the doll. Okay, at least for premium, the doll is very good in that you can search Heal Guardians and mostly like big rear guards that do stuff. 9 times out of 10, they end up being grade 3s. Your skull dragons and things like that. So being able to go, I'm going to grab these real quick, add a deck, is kind of a big deal to the point where like, oh, maybe you have to deal with that sort of thing, and think, do I just give up the free search for this, or do I go with the layer of protection? I'm going to do the hand flourish every time. Layer of protection instead. In both cases, they end up being a plus because you get the draw and the soul versus you get 2 things for the price of the 1 card.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm playing a glass cannon strategy that relies on my opponent not having Denial Griffin, I am absolutely running this card.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. I feel like the things that this will enable are probably not the healthiest thing, and I do think that like there are some clan or some decks that probably deserve to have some level of protection, like very rearguard focused things like Nova Grappler and Aqua Force, but they already had like cards that gave them resist. Same thing in like standard, I think overdress units probably deserve some level of protection because you have to commit so many resources into a Virina, but like, did we need to print a card that just gave everything like blanket protection and then just like damn the consequences whenever they come up?
It seems
I mean, we're worried about some not real formats, so
Yeah. So yeah, now in regards to like the concept of Regalis pieces overall, now that we've had this is the 4th one that we've seen, and your mileage may vary by consequence, but do you think that these have been a good idea in implementation, or have they just kind of sort of?
I mean, I think they've been fine.
The Regalis pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
Been fine.
As a concept, they're fine. Like, up until now, I think they've been fairly tame. Like, Forbidal says call 2 or, like, add grade 4s to your hand. That's generally okay. Like, I don't think, like, hand advantage in Vanguard is so completely insane that a card that says get almost anything is that broken.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with just, like, activating Persona Ride. That has so many restrictions layered on top of it that, like, it's fine. I think the problem with this card is it just, like, does everything, right? Like, it gives your Vanguard 5k, which isn't that much, but it can make a difference sometimes, but also just blanket protecting all of your rear guards from most interactions is very problematic, and it doesn't even stop the most annoying forms of interaction. So, like, Link Joker can still, like, lock cards on top of your existing rear guards.
Oh, like make you put down stuff as a lock card or something?
Yeah. Because locking doesn't move them off of rearguard circle. And then also, Gridora still works because it's not moving them off of rearguard circle and it's not targeting them.
Very cool.
So, this has the potential to enable a lot of degenerate strategies in Premium that, like, otherwise would have been checked by the existence of denial plays, while also not dealing with any of the annoying stun strategies that everyone hates.
I think it's because it's the first Regalis piece that directly affects the battle phase on its own. Right. Like, okay, aside from the sphere that's like protection, that I'm not talking about that. I more mean like you do this and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go into my battle phase where I am able to, have this blanket of protection, hand flourish, compared to, oh, I have 10k to my front row and I drew something, or, oh, here's 2 things from deck.
Yeah, but also just But also, this does protect you on like your opponent's turn from removal as well, which depending on the type of deck you're playing, can be very annoying. I don't know if Kagero still runs any Blaze units these days, but like I can't imagine it's fun trying to get blazing when all of your opponent's rear guards are basically unaffected as far as your deck is concerned.
That would be really funny if, assuming Kagero was ever a problem again, it's not right now. Some Excel deck that's just going to be like, all right, I just need to fill these 5 and 1 more, and then play this, and good luck, sir. And you're like, shit.
Blaze, you have to have more, right? So if they just
exactly, so you just turn off Blaze. And then, I have a shitty, very shitty Eugene premium deck that's like a double restand type deal, and against Genesis, this is the closest that we've had to this outside of this particular order. If you're on Yggdrasil, the Regalia units on your rearguard circle cannot be like moved anywhere else. So the only way to get rid of these things as the Kagero player was to go into the Progenitor Dragon and attack the whole board. That's the only thing you could do. Yeah. So
that's very annoying, right? Like if ever we have decks like that want to have that play with the idea of having more rear guards than the opponent, then every now and then there's just this sacky one of that stops that from happening.
Right. I feel like I'm still kind of okay with this existing. Like in standard, maybe not so much, but for premium, I'm interested to see what this creates. I know we're a podcast that tends to be doom and gloom about stuff, but I am curious to see what this ends up doing, and whether it becomes a problem or not. It's a very easy fix, which is just don't allow it in premium. Like it's not really that big of a deal. I don't think it directly creates this
if they ever
post-apocalyptic future. If they ever actually
if they ever actually bother to ban this.
Touche.
I mean, we'll see, but like, I doubt there's enough like good OTK decks that Bushiroad will ever bother. But it is just one of those like, all right, well, we just kind of threw this out there and damn the consequences. We didn't think about any potential interactions in premium, so if ever someone discovers some sort of bullshit glass cannon strategy, this might just enable it.
Right. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go figure out this bullshit glass cannon.
It's out there.
Yeah. I'm already out there trying to figure out how to make Kagero Eugene halfway decent. I'm already... my hands are already full with how stupid this thing is. But yeah, I know for Regalis pieces, like, these don't come around willy-nilly. So there had to have been at least a little bit of thought put into it.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Bushiroad doesn't think about things.
There are so many... Go ahead, sorry.
No, like, even when it feels like they should know some things. But, okay, this is like kind of going off on a tangent away from this order now, but like, why the hell is the Shiranui Stride deck so overtuned? Like they clearly knew that that Dragon Empire as a nation already had a generic restander in Esper Arida that like works with the Stride deck, right? Because that's a grade 4. So why did they decide to just print like 2 additional restanding rear guards in the deck where it's very unlikely to get hit?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I really like these are questions that will never get answered until I like to think that when you die and you go up to whatever the pearly gates or whatever the version of that is for you or your religion or whatever, that you get shown all of the questions that you want answered. And I think eventually like when I die, I'll find out, was Bushiroad thinking ahead with everything? And the answer is probably not as much as they should be, but at least a little bit.
Oh, also, we should talk about those terrible fucking starter decks.
Yeah, fine. Let's talk about
starter decks. Those are some shit.
Like, we can ignore the stupid dragon, but like we should probably talk about these terrible trial decks.
Okay, so what is the deal? What's the deal with these starter decks?
So they have made the ingenious decision to make all of the units except for like the grade 3s and perfect guards vanilla. Now, I know starter decks are not a bastion of cards to begin with. Like, many of them might as well just be vanillas, but this sucks, right? Like, this weird infantilization of new players, where it's like, no, you can't handle having card effects, so we're just not going to print them on the cards.
Yeah.
They tried this, kind of, with the Leonore and Jeweled thing originally. Remember that?
Yeah,
and
but they still
weren't
included...
super jazzed on that either.
See, I liked what they did with like the Will Dress starters, where they included like expansion pack cards, so that were both like versions of the tutorial cards that actually had effects, but also like they gave you like 1 or 2 copies of cards that you could use to kind of upgrade the trial deck. So they weren't amazing. It was shit like Counterblast 1, get 10k, and like draw a card, but that's like fine, right? Like that's passable until you get like the main set support. But yeah, this just kind of sucks, right? Like, why as a new player would you ever buy one of these when it like doesn't really give you anything to play the game? Like, you get the baby mode training wheels version of the cards.
I don't know if the Virgil thing was training wheels. This is not even going outside. This is looking at a picture of a bicycle, I think.
Yeah, this is like you watching a video about somebody riding a bicycle, which they already have a tutorial video for playing Vanguard. At
you
least...
were going to say something, Matt?
No, I'm good. Sorry.
Okay. Well, at least the trial decks are not as terrible as we thought they were going to be, because they have revealed that the promo campaign that goes along with it is just going to be the effect triggers and effect PGs, with a chance of one of the effect PGs being Sanctitude, which, you know, those cards at least have other printings, so this is not as horrible as if these promos were like genuine new cards that you would need to play the game.
We're stuck in these stupid TDs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy anytime it's another printing of like something that we need, like a staple. And then
but
it's just more
the printing of Sanctitude is not even like guaranteed. It's just like, sometimes you'll have a chance that it's Sanctitude instead of the regular effect PGs.
But if nobody buys these products, no more Sanctitudes or action circulation, so whatever.
Yeah. But, you know, at least these are just reprints of cards that already exist and not, you know, brand new ones.
There's Sanctitudes from back before, and then there's also the ones in the Orphis TD, which are...
Also, there was... I think Sanctitude got reprinted as a tournament promo at some point.
Okay, so there you go. So, like, it's just more of them out there in the world. That's good, I think.
Yeah, but I mean...
But...
Also,
tie up in the $7 TDs.
Yeah.
That no one
also, potential conspiracy theory, but like the art on these are pretty bland. So there is the specter of possibility that these are disposable, like the Will Dress TDs. God, I hope not.
Wow.
Wait, what's the conspiracy theory exactly? When you say disposable, like, oh, we gotta get rid of this art, but we don't know how?
No. You know how, like, the Will Dress TDs, you only got, like, half of the effect, and they all had a generic plus 5k on rearguard effect?
Right.
Yeah, so because the art on these is so generic and, like, not very impressive in the way that you would expect, like, a boss unit to be, there is the fear that these might be disposable in the same way that the Will Dress starter units were, where it's like, you just immediately replace them with a main set card.
Gotcha. Very plausible conspiracy theory. But I'm more like concerned about why. Why would you do this? Like,
I mean, they used to do this shit.
What?
They used to do this shit.
Yeah.
God. what was the fucking card? Remember shit like gold rutile all the way back in the very beginning of Vanguard?
Oh man, gold rutile. That is bringing back memories. Rear guards on hit countercharge stuff, and then you counterblast 2 for, is it 5k
On
or
hit,
something?
no, on hit counterblast 2 to restand a Nova Grappler.
Man, gold rutile. Buddy,
Yeah,
long ago.
Having shit like that when you also just had like Blau Kluger. So there's the very real fear that we've somehow ended up back here.
Well, that was like Vanguard's awkward adolescence.
Yeah. So I think like around halfway through G era, they started making TDs actually kind of good. But way back in the day when the TD would have like a one-of boss unit that you immediately replaced with a better card from a main set.
The ostensible reason for TDs to exist is to be a trial deck for new players.
Mm-hmm.
That said, if you're going to try and teach people how to play the game of Vanguard, they're going to get the mechanics pretty quickly. How guarding works, how intercepting works, how the battle phase works, all that stuff. The effects that do stuff are kind of important to teach your player base.
Yeah.
Guys.
I don't know why they couldn't follow the same model as the Will Dress TDs, just, without the disposable boss units that made them kind of garbage. Like, aside from that aspect, I thought the TDs were a good idea. Where the packaging is a deck box, which is neat, but also, like, having the tutorial cards that told you what all the abilities did, and then just having an expansion pack that lets you fill out the deck with, like, real units. Like, that was cool. Like, that is, I think, a level of value that other games don't really offer with their trial decks. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why couldn't we just do that?
I don't know. And also, like, for most people who come to Vanguard, 9 times out of 10, they come from other TCGs. And when that happens, it's a lot easier, A, to teach them, and B, when they come in, they're like, well, so what should I buy? And usually you end up pointing them either toward a better TD or like, hey, this guy on Vanguardian says this. Now, obviously, that's not Bushra, therefore arguments bunk. But to point them towards something that's like, hey, maybe something that's, I don't know, halfway decent out of the box would be cool.
Yeah.
For people coming in who like at least have that competitive spirit in them.
Yeah.
As opposed to this seems like it's for, I don't know, a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm. I also just don't like that the gap between our constructed products is a $50 structure deck, which I don't particularly think is worthwhile. I think they could stand to, even like the Stride decks could stand to be $30, and like a $7 baby set for like infants.
For literal toddlers. God damn. So,
yeah. These TDs these structure decks are just so useless.
Mm-hmm. That might be a separate video one of these days. Like, I just don't think Bushiroad is very good at making constructed products. They're either just overpriced, like the stand-up deck sets and even the Stride sets. I'd much rather they be closer to $30. Even with all the extra goodies that they gave you in the stand-up deck sets, it still probably could have stood to be like 40 instead of 50.
Right.
And then, there's these, which are basically worthless.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, like, has anybody... I can't think of an example of someone, like, just topping with a TD.
I don't think that's ever happened.
I know
the closest thing is like for Vanguard, the closest thing was when someone topped with like the Ren structure deck from G, or the Ren deck from G, because Phantom Blaster Diablo is a fucked up card.
That's right. Okay, so one example, and like I think something like that has happened with Yu-Gi-Oh, right? With the Monarch TD, way back or from a few years ago.
Remember when the Legend decks were $35?
I do remember that.
And they came with a deck box.
Wasn't a very good deck box. There was a deck
box. Was a shitty deck box, but they came with it.
Mm-hmm. I don't really care if my TD comes with a deck box or not, but I at least want it like... It doesn't have to be like destroying tournaments left and right, but just like a place to start. I am one of those people who, when I get into a new game or even just like a new clan or something, I want like someone pointing me a direction. Like here's a list that you can start with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think a TD should be. It should not be baby deck for babies.
Yeah. Like, you can teach someone how to play the game without infantilizing them.
Mm-hmm. Hell, just most of the time when I've taught people the game, we ignore the effects the first time around. You can do that.
Like, it's not hard to just like just play without the effects the first time around, and then like start integrating them as they get better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this Regalis piece was weird, and these TDs are stupid. Any other things you want to say about it?
Not particularly. I guess quickly talking about the new dragon card.
I don't want to.
Now, I want you to just pull something up. Just pull it up really quickly so I can make a joke.
Fine. Which one?
Well,
I
need to read. 3? We need to read the grade 3, and then we need to read the order.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, we don't even need to read the order, but we do need to read the grade 3 at least.
Fine.
So
this is what we're ending the episode with. Go.
Yeah. So when placed by writing from Zed lands, you can soul blast, search your deck, or drop for 1 set order, add it. And then when it attacks, it gets drive +1. And then if you chose 3 or more units with the ability of a forge in your order zone, then you can stand it, give it 10k, drive -3. So can we quickly go down to the forge card?
Yes, we can. This better be good.
So what grade is it?
2.
So it needs 3 of them to function, but it's grade 2. Is this reminding you of something?
Wait a minute.
Boy, I can't wait for them to print a grade 1 forge order that's a $30 promo.
I hate it here.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep. Patreon.com/Nexus at Night, at Nexus at Night in all the places, at Wiggums, at Plasma Eclipse, at Atlas Novak, all that good stuff. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.